The Honourable Louise Upston.
Mr Speaker, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the apology from the Labor Party. Mr Speaker, I do expect I will be waiting quite a long time, because never before in the 8 years that I've been a member of this House have I seen such a despicable display where a party in this Parliament has singled out one ethnicity and absolutely trashed them. So as we've seen, Mr Speaker, the real facts come out, and no, not the 39.4% of Chinese buyers in Auckland that one of the Labor members so recklessly and shamelessly has put out in the public domain. We are talking 2 to 3% of all transactions, all property transactions over a 6-month period, and of that 2 to 3%, a very small number, 1% in total, from China. Now, Mr Speaker, I don't know about you, but it's absolutely disgraceful, and the members of the opposition party should be embarrassed for using and singling out one ethnicity in a country of New Zealand when we have over 200 ethnicities. We are a rich country in our multicultural values, and our country embraces our place in the world. Unlike the Green member who spoke previously, we actually believe that taking our place in international trade, it is an important part and brings benefits for New Zealand businesses and New Zealand employers. Because at the end of the day, the TPP is about those who are benefited. And if you think about New Zealanders, hard-working New Zealanders of whatever ethnicity, actually, they're interested in a job that pays well, where they continue to have security and to have a growing economy. And so, Mr Speaker, while this side of the House has an outward view who embraces our place in the world, we're seeing more and more examples of the Labor Party who are focused on their own navels, who are becoming completely insulated and losing touch with New Zealanders. So, Mr Speaker, let's have a look at some of the facts, because clearly the other side don't want to talk about facts. They want to make up some fiction. And so if we look at the first 6 months of the data, and Mr Speaker, I want to put on record, yes, it's the first 6 months. It's too early to make definitive statements about it, so we'll watch to see how the data continues. But of the first 6 months, we have seen 2 to 3% of the total property purchases that were by non-resident, those who are non-resident for tax purposes. But the second part of the information and the data that's collected by Land Information goes further than that. And that's the information that's useful for us in informing housing policy. The first part of that asks, of the property transaction, is there a house on this land? 90% said yes. And then of those that said yes, the next question was around their connection to New Zealand. Only 3% were not New Zealand citizens, residents, or here on a work permit or student visa. So, Mr Speaker, unfortunately, this side of the House, we're focused on the issues that matter. When it comes to housing, is housing affordability a concern for New Zealanders? Yes. So actually we're doing things to tackle it. We're looking at land supply, we're looking at building materials, we're looking at lowering compliance costs, we're looking at speeding up local government processes, we're looking at reform to the Resource Management Act. We're actually looking at practical things that make a difference in the space of housing. And actually all the opposition can do is make wild accusations that offend a huge number of hard-working New Zealanders and offend them terribly. Mr Speaker, this is a government that's focused on the issues that matter. We're not focusing on desperate measures like the opposition. This side of the House uses facts to support our policy, whether it's about growing jobs through trade, improving education, keeping people safe, greater access to medicines, or, Mr Speaker, assisting them into their very first home.